Remember that they're changing my voice. This video is about 16 irrefutable reasons why they should pass my war on poverty plan in its full form. $200 a month on average for people worth $1 million or more, taxpayers especially, and $5 on average for all taxpayers who are worth less than $1 million, to raise over $60 billion a year to effectively wipe out homelessness once and for all, build a surplus of tiny homes, affordable housing, food programs, job programs, adding security guards where necessary to increase the safety of the city. Once you wage a war on poverty and increase more security and concentrate the homeless into tiny villages with security guards, you've made the city a lot safer as well. So let's look at these 16 reasons. Republicans are silent when it comes to these reasons, scrambling to avoid my arguments and to create straw man arguments. And liberals have their heads down because they're not doing enough and they won't stand with me on this, and libertarians are just in the corner crying. Point number one, they failed to properly wage the war on drugs and manage things correctly. This is key. It is a governing class failure. Why, when we look at history, do we not see the same failures we see today? Because there's different governing classes in different places in different periods of time. They failed to wage the war on drugs with all the informants and snitches out there, with all the law enforcement agencies, all the retired law enforcement people, with all the drug sniffing dogs and all the money that goes into technologies. How on earth did they fail? Well, obviously we all know that it has to do with government corruption, the corruption of the Drug Enforcement Agency, the FBI, what have you, the CIA. Point number two, they exploited the workforce. It doesn't take being a communist to see that they exploited the workforce. It doesn't take being from the most exploited family in America to see that they exploited the workforce. It doesn't take being at a corporate meeting describing in high level detail, how you're going to exploit the workforce to see that they exploited the workforce. So that one is self-explanatory. Okay? Elon Musk shouldn't be paid more than brain surgeons and rocket scientists. So no, the rich didn't earn their money. It's that simple. Much less all the things they do. They leverage their privileged networks, the nepotism, the favoritism, these corporate espionage, the sabotage. I mean, the workplace bullying, it goes on and on. Point number three, they did not provide the services needed to help people get on their feet and did not make them aware of their resources effectively enough. Okay, so they say, well, they have all these resources. Either they're putting extras on it, they're lying, or they didn't make people aware of it effectively enough, or both. Again, that's their bad. People get sued for less. Point number four, the school system is a sick joke. They say, well, why don't they get a job? Why don't you fix your school system? Why don't you stop exploiting the workforce? Why don't you stop, sabotaging the poor communities? How can you cripple someone and say, get up and walk? It's retarded. Point number five, inmates get 3 hots in a cot. One of my favorite points. Is very straightforward. So if someone commits a crime, hey, you have 3 hot meals, and you have a roof over your head, and free medical care, and so on and so forth. Okay? But if they're homeless, because after working for 20 years, they get laid off, and you hit them with inflation, okay, all of a sudden they don't matter. If they're not a perfect human being, they turn to drugs because of your horrible society, magically, they don't deserve 3 hots in a cot. Very sick mentality this country has. Very sick. Very hypocritical. Point number 6. There's around 60 trillion or so in assets, in liquid wealth, just sitting around causing inflation. So the rich are sitting there, hoarding their money, spending money with other rich people, and it's just causing inflation, okay? That money is basically, for all intents and purposes, blood money, exploitation money, corporate sabotage money, ill-gotten gains, mentally ill, ill-gotten gains. They're still ill, and their money is still ill-gotten gains. A lot of it is old money, slavery money that they invested, exploitation money that they invested, segregation money that they invested, money they got from blatantly and obviously mistreating other groups of people, and then, playing the stock market, what have you. And it's just causing inflation. It's not helping for the rich people to be hoarding their money. Okay? When you use that money to create more supply, the cost of things go down. When you use that money to create more innovation and technological solutions to inflation, inflation goes down. So the money's causing inflation instead of being put to work preventing inflation and reducing the costs of living. Point number 7. It costs money to clean up encampments. So these people, because of their poor management, it's costing the city money to put out the fires there, to clean up the encampments. They're spending all kinds of money renting rooms for these people as part of deals. Okay? Money that's just being wasted when they could have just built tiny homes the first time, built them effectively, and given these people services the first time. This thing's way out of control. And it's the government's fault, and they owe it to the poor, they owe it to all of humanity to do the right thing here and pass the full war on poverty plan. Point number 8. California has enough in its surplus to end homelessness. All it takes is $6 billion to build 200,000 tiny homes in small towns where it's cheaper and on plots of land the city owns, so they don't have to even buy anything at times, okay, to build 200,000 tiny homes. So 6 billion, 200,000 tiny homes, $30,000 each on average. 20,000 or so for the tiny home itself with running water, AC, what have you, and 10,000, on average per home for land purchases, hidden fees, what have you. That's all it takes. So why aren't they doing it? Why are they spending more money than they have to? Why are they stalling the plans? This isn't rocket science here. People build tiny homes in their backyards and sheds all the time. Why is it so hard for the government to do it with all their resources, but the average dickhead and say, hey, I have an idea, let's build a couple of these right here and get it done in no time flat? Why? All right. Point number 9. For just 50 cents a month on average and $20 a month on average, we could build 200,000, $30,000 tiny homes. So there's various plans, and it doesn't cost so much. So, when people say, well, why should we? All you have to do is get active as a society. People to rally together, insist on a website, insist on transparency, insist on signs, insist on comparisons to private purchases, and you can get this done for a small new tax. Okay? It's stupid to not want to pay, a few extra pennies a week or something. Okay? And we're talking 50 cents a month on average for less than millionaires. Okay? In one of the plans. And we could wipe out homelessness very fast. But they don't want to do it. It's the 1/10 plan, $6 billion a year for this nation. It's 200,000 homes a year. In 3 years, we have 600,000 homes. 4 years, I have 800,000 homes. Homelessness should be wiped out that way and have a surplus of 50,000 homes or so, depending on the trajectory of homelessness. All right, the homeless, people going homeless. Okay. Point number 10. We could build a surplus and combat the stress of potentially going homeless that many people live with. Many people wonder, hey, if they don't, rob and steal, what's going to happen to them? They're going to go homeless and hungry. If you make it so that people have tiny homes, in case shit happens, the stress goes down, crime goes down, and mental health improves in the population. So why wouldn't they do that for such a cheap price? Point number 11. Many rich people avoid paying taxes. Point number 12. We would have a cleaner nation. Point number 13. It would lower the crime rate. Point number 14. There would be better mental health in the nation. Point number 15. The homeless would be cleaner and more hygienic. Okay, when homeless people, they sit on public benches at the park, at the bus stops, they touch the things that you touch, stop lights and so on and so forth. Point number 16, it would help combat the spread of STDs as the need for people to prostitute themselves would be reduced. People need to grow up, take care of themselves, get a woman the right way, and have a meaningful relationship and realize that, hey, being a filthy scumbag like a porn star or some guy who gets prostitutes all the time isn't the best sex life you could have. Who would have thought? Okay? So people will start using their fucking heads, the domino effect. You're putting the bad dominoes in motion instead of the good ones. Thank you.